It's time for the chip race.
Next up, we have an absolutely choice interview by Fergal Nealon with Barney and Bridie Gribben.
I'm here at the Irish Open with two people that are well known on the poker scene. It's Barney and Bridie Gribben from Magherafelt, County Derry. So how did you first get into the game and get involved on the scene?
Well, Barney was working in the scene for a while, and to go and support him, I played a game and ended up winning it, which was a satellite into the Irish Open. And on reflection, I was completely inexperienced, but I was so inexperienced that I loved it, because I had no preconceived ideas of what I was going to do or anything else, and we just come down to the Irish Open, had a blast of a weekend, and decided, right, every year we're coming. Whether we're playing or not, we're coming, just that's our holiday.
And tell us, what year was that?
2006.
2006. Who won it that year?
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. And that's, like, as you say, that's kind of seems to be your attitude around the games. You're not too caught up in the ins and outs of the more competitive side of things. When you do get stuck in, and you had a nice result there, congratulations, Barney or Bridie last night in the turbo. You're here to enjoy yourselves, and that seems to come across.
And even that game, my very last hand was against Porrick Parkinson, who I didn't know. I hadn't met him ever before. And before the dealer put up the cards, I said, 1 wee sec, we'll make a deal here. If I win this hand, I'll buy you a pint. If you win it, you buy me a pint. He went, right, you're on. He won it, I got a pint, and that was the start of that friendship as well. So
brilliant.
He's been very good to us. So.
Porrick was then doing charity for the homeless, and I was running the club in the north, and his event was 110 to play, and we did a lot of satellites. Nearly every game we were given a ticket to this charity event, and I knew a lot of the players weren't going to go, but I wasn't giving them the money. I was going to come down on the day and pay them in while they were there.
This is the Brother Kevin homeless charity.
Yeah, that one. And so I landed down with the entry fee for 15 players, and I think only one player arrived, but I gave Porrick the envelope with all the money. But that's for those players. If they don't come, it's their hard luck when you're taking it, and he just thought that was amazing that somebody would do that, So he took us under his wing at that time, and he actually then came to the club in the north himself, and Eamon and Scott Gray and Willow landed.
So just going back there, you had a card club in the north?
Yeah, in Bangor there was a card club, the Fortune Rooms, and there was one in Cookstown. And you would have met Desi Graham a few times at the weekend. Desi would have run one of the clubs, and I ran the other club.
Right.
And they were going very well until the law changed and put an end to it, unfortunately.
So how did you get into that? As you know, you're well known brother and sister, travel to these events. Did you have a card playing? Was it in the family? Was it something you played over the dinner table?
Mum would have taught us all how to play cards from we were kids, but we weren't really playing poker. You were playing the best hand wins, until late night poker came on, and then we all realised we were not playing poker at all. This is how the game is supposed to be played. Now we still wouldn't be good players, but we have learnt a lot over the years and really enjoy the game. I have a game in my house then, at the back of late night poker then, I have a game in my house on a Thursday night, and that's been going every Thursday night since late night poker was on, so that's 10 years ago, is it? More?
Exactly, yeah. Now can you tell us a little bit on the situation up the north of the country that you can't run legal games? It's a very kind of grey area. So is it? How do you get around that?
Well, any wee game that's going, it's just the local police would know a lot of them are going on, but they don't do anything because it's not causing any problems. They just turn a blind eye to it. Legally, you have to have a bingo licence, and then you can do the card games with it. But the maximum entry fee you can have in a game is £4. And that £4. No rebuys, no add-ons. £4. That was maybe in 1962 or something. That law was passed, and it has never changed. So they'll say in the north, the politicians will say, oh no, we do allow poker in the north, but that's the regulations on it, so it doesn't happen. You can't have it. So
are you saying that if games are well run and there's no trouble, that they might turn a blind eye in certain situations?
Yeah, they would indeed. As long as the paramilitary aren't involved, they'll be happy enough, and they'll know if paramilitary is involved, they'll stop it.
Yeah.
But if it's not paramilitary and it's people coming out, and it's one of the very few things in the north where both sides of the community can sit down together and play, very much so. Like the GAA is predominantly Catholic, the soccer is predominantly Protestant, but the poker scene is an absolute mix, you know.
And it's amazing. I played some games up that way, and I've come across that in maybe games in Bundoran that are near the border, and all those differences seem to be left aside at the poker table.
Seems to be, yeah. There was a game over in Kilray direction, and there was boys at the table that had done time for being in the IRA, and boys that had done time for being in the UVF, and they're all sitting around the same table playing, you know. So you just wouldn't get it in anything else, you know.
So you mentioned Pádraig Parkinson. Is there any other names that have been influences to you in poker terms?
Not for making your game any better. You know, people would have their idols that they would watch them and see their style of play and pick up notes from that. And I just play my own game. But as for meeting people, you know, Donnacha O'Dea is just, I love the man. He is a gentleman. He's very well named, you know, the godfather of poker. He's always very pleasant and has a lot of time for us. Anytime you speak to him, yourself as well. There are a lot of people like you around the circuit, you know. We're not big players, but you all have time to speak to us, and that's what we love about the poker community. You don't have to be one of the big earners for people to have time and have a chat with you, and we love that about
That's
it, you know.
been a big thing for me as well. I feel like the camaraderie around it is more to me than the actual game. You know, that's what I get out of these weekends, is the support you get, like, from everybody, and just the crack. And as he's saying, it could be the guy that has his photograph in the front of the magazine that you're sitting beside. You know, you don't get that in any other sport, that you're able to be in the same table with these people, you know. And that's what blew me away, is that at the table they're just people.
Well,
that's
it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and poker, I think the poker table is the most democratic, one of the most democratic places in the world. It doesn't matter who you are or what influence you have on the outside, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Damn.
And I love the old boys with the young boys, and the older women taking hand out of young boys with headphones on them and stuff like that. I love all that, you know, that you're getting all these different characters.
But I love that the thing about the game too, that you're sitting at the table, especially a cash table, you're sitting there, and my aim is to take as much money as I can off as many people on the table as I can, you know. But I'll get up and go to the bar for an hour and leave my chips on the table, and I know that nobody will steal one of them chips, you know what I mean? Yet when I sit down at the table, everybody wants to get them off me. There's honour among thieves type of thing.
Exactly.
Did you see the 17,000 was it that was in the raffle at the Norwegian Open?
I've seen that.
A bin liner full of money, and the boy set it on the table, and he walked away to the bar and just set it there, and he knows that nobody's going to steal anything out of that. Yet you're in a room full of gamblers and nobody's going to steal that. It's weird, it really is.
So I seen you met Nolan Dalla.
Yes, that one. That is just so weird, how he took us under his wing as well. We chatted to him for 10 minutes on the bar, and the next day he mentioned us on his blog. You know, it's unbelievable.
We're just a pair of luck boxes, Fergal. That's all it is.
I think so, yeah. And I presume down through the years you've met the Phil Helmets and the grannies who've come over here.
We have. We could speak into all of them, I suppose. And it's three people like yourself and Pádraig and Paul O'Reilly, boys who do know these guys. And then they would introduce us, and it flows then, you know.
Tell us about, when was the year, Barney, you got yourself in on the biggest free roll ever at the Irish Open?
The biggest waste of a ticket ever, isn't it?
Your words, not mine now, Barney. But tell us how that came about.
I was sitting in the cash game, and a friend of mine, Sean Lennon from Cookstown, phoned me to say that he was watching the live stream, Paddy Power's live stream, and the first person that can find Clodagh Hansen, she works for Paddy Powers, will get free entry into the Irish Open. So I came down past, Paul O'Reilly was standing, I says, Paul, where's the Paddy Powers team? He says, I'm too fucking busy to talk to you. I don't know where they're at. So I made my way down to the bottom, and there was a lot of the staff there, and I said, is Clodagh Hansen here? She said, yes, that's me. And I said, I'm Barney Gribbon, and I'd like free entry into the Irish Open. And she said, you've got it. And that was it, as quick as that. Took me away, got the promotional gear on, got me registered, a few photographs, and was back as sitting in the tournament. Phoned Sean to say thanks a million, I'm sitting in the Irish Open here. He says, I know, I'm watching the whole thing in the live stream. Somebody says, Sean said then that Barney's in the Irish Open now, he's got a seat. And somebody texted him back and says, no, he's not. I saw him 5 minutes ago sitting at a cash table. So they're in the room and they didn't even realise that I had won the event in.
Now tell us, Bridie, you bring great style. I know my own wife Sinead is a real admirer of the style, and tell us about you really make good effort with the fashion over the weekend.
Some of us have to, don't we? This is just the way I dressed most of the time. I have a very dull job, so I have to dress grown up from 9 to 5. So then after that, I just kind of just get dressed up for the occasion, you know.
Yeah, and what are your influences? Is it
Vivienne Westwood would be a big one, even though I can't afford any of her stuff, but I love her style, and she won. Paloma Faith would be a pretty good one as well, but I don't really copy anybody. I just kind of put it together, and if it works, it works. And I haven't been told yet that it hasn't worked. So.
Well, exactly, yeah. Well, look, I don't know too many things fashion, but according to my better half, you look the business every
Thank
time.
you. That's
every
very
time
kind.
she sees you. Well, listen, Barney and Bridie Gribben, thanks a million for that fantastic chat. And I know you're regulars on the poker scene, and you really do brighten up every poker tournament.
Thank you very much.
That's lovely. Thanks
And
very
everyone
much.
gets a wee buzz when they see Bridie and Barney, and always a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very
very
much.
much.